This is New School Marketing Podcast for real estate pros, where the very best of real estate reveal their latest systems and strategies. With your host, Marlon Aquino.
What's up, guys? Marlon Aquino here with New School Marketing Podcast for real estate pros. And I'm really excited because today we have a special guest, someone who I've known since I was practically a little kid. And today he's also kicking off the first episode of the year 2023 for us. So really excited to have him on today. This is someone that you're going to want to stay tuned and hear all the way till the end. Today, we're chatting with special guest Johnny Margarini, president and CEO of Point Mortgage with over 12 years of experience in the mortgage banking industry. And we're going to talk to him about the effects of high interest rates, how to come up on top in a year like the one that we're starting to have already. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here's the man of the hour, Johnny Margarini.
Hey, Marlon, how are you? Good morning.
Good, boss. Good. Good morning. Good to see you here, and thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good. And this is way overdue. We've been trying to do this for quite a while. So I'm happy that we were finally able to find some time and to get this done. And I feel honored that I'm the first podcast of the year. So thank you for having me on.
No, we needed to kick things off on the right foot and big. And you're definitely the person to do that. So let's get straight to it. Thank you for hopping on here. We had some technical issues why we weren't able to start on time, but here we are, better late than never. Johnny, for those people that are just tuning in now and first hearing about you and learning about you, before we get into who you are and how you got into real estate, can you just go into a little bit some of the things that interest you these days? I know that you're a big cigar person. What are some of the other stuff that tends to gravitate your interest outside the business?
Well, I've been in the industry now, I want to say about maybe 26 years. Point Mortgage was established in 2000 here in Miami. So we've been in business for 22 years. And it's a long, bumpy ride, but we picked up a lot along the way. And it was interesting and it was good. And I like to help people, right? And there's nothing to be more fulfilling than being able to help that first-time home buyer or that person be able to refinance and pay off debt and just, get their finances in order. So that's what we like to do. At the end of the day, a lot of us sometimes forget what our end goal is. We get excited about the industry. It's a beautiful thing. I love what I do. I don't even consider it a job. But, at the end of the day, we can't forget what our end goal is, and that's to help others. As far as what I like to do, I love to travel. A good cigar every once in a while is also good. That's what I do, and just travel a lot. I love to travel.
Well, you've been to a few places. You were just in Italy, right? Mexico. I mean, you're Mr. International. I think Pitbull is losing that title to you this year.
You learn a lot as well when you travel. I love to travel and embrace different cultures and see the way.
What are some of your favorite places?
I gotta say, one of my favorite places is Firenze in Italy. I love Firenze because it's right next to Tuscany, their wine region, and I'm a wine fanatic as well. And
nice.
Their wine is amazing. So I every chance I get, if I'm in Italy, I have to stop in
I've heard
Florence, as they call it here, Florence.
Italy, hands down, is always the one place everyone says that it was their favorite in Europe or out of any place. Just really, so it's I can't wait to check it out myself. But let's get straight into it, Johnny. Before you got into mortgage business, who was Johnny Margarini? What were you doing before you got into the real estate business?
Well, I was at a very young age. I joined the military. I was in the Navy, and I traveled all over the world. And I guess I'm still doing that. And shortly after that, I got into the automobile industry. I was that guy in that office that did the financing and the leasing. And it's a great industry, but it takes up a lot. It consumes your time. So it takes time from your family. And I wanted to spend more time with my kids. They were small, and I had to find something else to do. I love financing. I love financing, and I met a friend, and he taught me the business, and we've been friends ever since. And I was still doing the financing. We're just financing homes now in a larger amount.
Right, dude. So from that moment, literally, did you go straight to owning your own office, or did you work under someone? Like, what was that process for you at the beginning?
Well, you have to understand the business. A lot of moving parts in putting a loan together and structuring a loan and making sure that person qualifies. has the ability to repay the loan.
Yeah.
You have to learn the different programs, the government agency programs, what they call non-QM now, back then was subprime. And I went through the learning process with my friend, Otto Gonzalez, who was a great person. And then, I decided it was time for me to go on my own in 2001.
How soon after from when you started was that?
I want to say about 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm assuming that if that was an easy thing to do, more loan officers would have done that, right?
There's nothing easy about doing loans, especially now. And it's not easy to run a business. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities and
What was your motivation behind adding more stress to you?
I didn't know it was going to be that stressful, to be honest.
Of course not.
I think we Hispanics, we have this entrepreneurial spirit, right? That we want to have our own, it starts off, from back home. We want to own a home and we want to pay it off. Where here in the States, you buy a home, but you don't really want to pay it off because you get to write off the interest. So it's a little different, from back home, from the way Latin people think. But we want to own our own business. We want to run the show.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. I've always been an independent person, a leader, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. And, I was dumb as a fox. I went in there and just figured it out.
Thank goodness for, I'm sure a lot of the people working under you right now, I'm sure they're thankful for that. Okay, awesome story. So obviously when you began, this was right in the crust of the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. So how did that affect you? How'd you pivot? I mean, can you just walk us into like what that was like, that experience? Because obviously we're going through maybe not the same situation, but we are going through something right similar.
So it was actually 2001, right during 9/11. So I remember that day it happened. I've taken all my life savings and I put it into Point Mortgage, and I had all the equipment, everything was set up, and then 9/11 happened, and it was a scary moment for me. I'm not gonna lie. It was brand new. I was opening a company, and all I could think of was, are we gonna go to war? Because we just been attacked, and it didn't happen. Instead, the rates went down, and it created a refinance boom, and it created a purchase boom. Shortly thereafter, the mortgage meltdown and the real estate bubble happened because people started spending money, and pretty much like you said, what we're going through now, but at a different level.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, obviously there was obviously, I guess, like what was it, a demand issue? I guess there was like a demand issue back then, which isn't the case now, or something like that.
Well, it was more or less the same. People can afford because the rates are lower. There's a shortage of properties, so then you have to pay a surplus to get a property of appraised value, which is what's happening now. The difference back then was that a lot of the mortgages that were classified as A paper were really B and C paper. So as they started to default, people started letting go of the homes. They were living in there for free, and the banks, it took them a while to foreclose. So that lasted for a while. And then, of course, we hit that recession, that wall in 2008, 9, and we didn't come out of it till 14, 15. It was crazy. I think it's a little different now. I think most people have equity in their homes, so they're not going to lose them because they have some skin in the game. But on top of that, the agencies have put a lot of safeguards in place so that what happened back then didn't happen now. So there's more compliance, there's more
regulation,
softwares. There's a lot of softwares that can check to see if what you're saying is true, and we make sure that you're working before we fund the loan. We call and physically do a verbal to make sure that person is still working there. So we have a lot of safeguards in place so that all that fraudulent activity that happened back then doesn't happen now. However, you're gonna have that person that's gonna lose their job. You're gonna have certain things that they can't pay their mortgage. That's a completely different story. But I don't believe that what happened back then, especially when there's a shortage of homes, it's a lot easier for somebody to just sell the property that has equity than to foreclose. They wouldn't. Why would they not? Why would they let it go? If you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're in a much better position this time around. Yeah. So hopefully, again, we're past the worst, but we're yet to see that. So obviously, those were crucial times. What really helped you expand your business? Like what helped you go to the next level? What were some of the steps that really took you from being a small local company to now, you have a couple offices across the nation? Like, someone that wants to follow in your steps, how does that happen?
Well, just to touch back on the last question, the last
Yeah.
comment that we were talking about, I think, we still have another 6 months to a year before we come out of this inflation. It's been going down about 0.1 a month. I lost my train of thought.
No, but yeah,
There is the
the retail sales are down. Pretty much unemployment is the only thing that kind of, is not raising high enough. But as far as, it seems like, yes, what was it? Last week, there was a 24 jump in home applications, a 34 jump in like refis. So it seems like things are starting to turn. It sounds like that window you're saying about 6 months or so would be when we're hoping back to like
a year. Yeah, the inflation's gone down from 7.1 to 6.5.
Yeah, and it was at 9.1 back in June or something like that. So we're seeing a reversal.
And the consumer price index has gone down from 6% to 5.7. So all these figures, they're in line as the professionals estimated that it was going to be.
Yeah.
But again,
it seems like what the Feds are doing is working to some degree.
Correct. Now, that was the last question. What was the second one that you asked me?
Yeah, no, just pretty much. Obviously, there's difficulties and going from, a loan officer to opening up your own company and then having people under you. And then there's a different fact going from that level to now how you have multiple offices around the nation. Is it through relationships? Is obviously more capital? I mean, what would it motivate you, obviously, to continue expanding like you did when you took your business from Florida to back to San Diego to now all over the nation?
Well, I think we were just moving with the times and
with the growth
and learning as we grew. I think just being transparent and being yourself as a company is what makes us us. Because I had a conversation yesterday with a broker here in Miami, and I mentioned to him, I said, you know what? All the mortgage companies, they all have the same product for the most part. Some have better products than others, but it's all the same thing. At the end of the day, you sell yourself, right? You sell yourself, you sell your services, and you always answer that phone when it rings, right? There's an issue, you go in and you resolve it, you fix it. I think that's what's made us grow, just being in people's face,
right?
Being in there, the constant communication, the phone calls, and just overall caring about the members, the people that work with you. Because like I said earlier, it's hard to manage multiple groups of people and the different personalities that come with it. It's not easy.
Yeah,
but it's fun. It's fun.
Not just the people you're helping on the consumer side, but like when you're the CEO or president role, you've also got your employees that you've got to manage too. So it's like I said, not for everyone.
Right. And we don't even see our people as employees. Most of them have been with us since we started, a lot of them in California. To us, they're more like family. They're members of our company. We don't even use that word employees. We use it HR because they have to use it, but we don't use that term. And the people that work with us, they stay with us, and they've been with us for 10, 12, 15 years. And that says a lot, right? When people don't know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the average someone stays with a company, I think I saw recently, it was 3-5 years max before they move on somewhere else. And that was dropping, I think, drastically. So, but I actually want to go into next where you were just pointing out, obviously a lot of that growth had to come through, like you're saying, being available, being personable, being upfront, being visible, making those phone calls, sending out those emails. The next things I actually wanted to get into a little bit was into a little bit on the marketing side, the systems that you guys are using to help you go from, just one loan officer yourself to a whole team. And what do you see that has, worked best for you?
So, it's funny. Aldo Gonzalez told me years ago, the gentleman that taught me this business, he said, you know what? Realtors. Because when the economy goes bad, when we're in the situation that we are now, in this recession, that realtor has to go out there and list or become a buyer's agent, and they're going to work, and homes will be bought and sold. But when things are like this, you rely on them for business. So what do? You form a partnership with these people and just not ask for the business, but you have to help. I know that having a presence on social media, your email drips, your CRMs, being able to reach to these people through all these applications, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, social media, whatever it is, that's all beautiful. But I'm a little old school, and even when I send an email out to someone, I always follow up with a phone call. Hey, did you get my email? And think it's the same thing here. You can post your videos, you can do your email drips, but you also have to touch that person, right? Whether it's for a phone call, whether it's coffee, whether it's lunch, whatever it is, because it's not just about social media. It's also about having that human touch.
Correct. No, I say it. You can't have one without the other. So as good as it is to go out there and pay for for views and get in front of people. If you're not doing the hard things like those phone calls and knocking doors, then one doesn't work without the other. You don't get the full benefits. So for you, obviously, what are some of the things your team focuses on? Is it paid advertising online? Is it the traditional door knocking, cold calling? What is it that you're pushing your team members to do, or what is it that you're seeing that the top performer is doing?
Well, again, it's just about this business is all about relationships. The banking, what I do, my relationships with my investors, my aggregators, it's the relationship that I've had for the last 20 something years. The relationships that my loan officers have with the realtors, whether they're helping them with flyers or an open house, is touching and building that relationship, especially because there's different trends in our industry. There's ups and there's downs. And you have to be ready for that. And not just to get business from them, but to help them get their business, right? It's a two-way street when it comes to working with realtors. You have to be able to provide a service to them and bring something valuable to the table and help each other, right? And whether it's an open house, whether it's doing a dual marketing or whatever the case may be, you have to be there with that person. You have to pick up the phone call and call a realtor that you don't know and say, hey, I saw your profile, I see your numbers, you're a rock star. Let's have coffee, let's talk. I know you have a lot of was talking to you.
Find ways to add value to that person's life. Right.
That's it. And in my life, I always try, whether it's my business life or professional, my business, professional, or my personal, I always have to bring something of value to the table. Right? You always have to bring something to the table, your self-worth. So
especially in today's world, there's so many people posing so and so online, and a lot of times what they're just doing is picking your brains like you don't have 1,000 things already going in your life for you to stop and help people who might or not be at the level that you are, right? So that's understandable. I think Ricky Carruth, he's a top realtor nationwide, and he's got a big motto that I think just resonates and is true, which is relationships over transactions. He for him, whether it's good times or bad times, he's like, you focus on relationships, like you're saying, and you'll have enough business, right? Because you're going from a perspective of wanting to help, of being of service, and not necessarily, just in it for the money, which obviously a lot of times it can be seen from a lot of people. So for you, that's really, it sounds like to me, collaboration. Find ways to work with a realtor and add value to them so they can in return send you more business as you're also doing other things like door knocking, emailing, and all the other good stuff, right?
Listen, if you do good things will happen. I also look at, that realtor that you're starting out, that's only been in here a year or two, that's scared right now with what's going on because they were used to paying all their bills and now they're slow. Go help that guy out. Go help that realtor out that needs that boost, that motivation, because when things turn and that realtor starts producing again and becomes a really good realtor, and they're going to remember that you were there helping them.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the key differentiator when you're talking about what's kind of happening now, which I think is interesting. You're obviously probably very familiar with that, but there's layoffs happening all across the nation from all sectors. But at the same time, when it comes to the real estate industry, there's always a lot of optimistic people, because as people are leaving because they took advantage of the boom last year, and now all of a sudden they're seeing, they're not seeing the same things happening. They're starting to pivot and go elsewhere. There's tons of fresh new people that are joining now that are ready to kind of take on the challenge and do what's required. Because I think a lot of people in real estate, like you said, have gotten comfortable or just expecting business to come either from social media and with the way things are, if they're not out there networking, building relationships, they're probably not going to see much success, right?
Right. Well, the real estate industry makes the world go round, and it's a trickle effect. Last year before, you had a lot of new people in the business, and so people think that it's not going to stop. We know that it's going to stop. And whenever we start to go into recession, the first industry that's affected is the real estate and the banking. And then there's a trickle-down effect from there, because as people start losing their homes and
Can't afford to pay their goods and stuff, then it affects the businesses.
then it starts affecting the restaurants, the malls, and other businesses. So, but it's also a sign that this is what happens when there's too much money. People go out and spend and buy things that they don't need. So it's so simple. It's the law of
demand, the demand and supply. Yeah,
demand and supply. Right? There's too much demand for homes. They're going to skyrocket. Same thing happens in the automobile industry. Everyone was buying electric cars. So when you inject too much money into an economy, this is usually what happens.
Yeah, and that's perfect. I'm actually glad, because that kind of led us into what we're already talking about, which was high inflation and high interest. How are you seeing? Are you seeing more production? Are you seeing more activity in the last couple of weeks? Obviously, since the year began, we have remained under a 7%. I think it's on, six, as low as almost 6%. Are you seeing a little bit more activity or not really?
Well, historically, the first quarter of the year is usually horrible in our industry. And that's because, most parents start selling their homes. If they're going to move, they don't do it in the middle of the school year. They start prepping the home for sale in the spring so that it can sell in the summer. That way, if they're going to move out of state or to another city, their kids can start school fresh, not in the middle of the year, because that's kind of a shock for a lot of children.
Never thought about that. Interesting.
We start to see, the applications go up
March,
second quarter. So first quarter is usually a little slow. Most people that work in November, December, close all the deals in December, and they go on vacation for a week or two. So now they have to come back and start that pipeline all over again. And you just start closings for, 30, 60, 90 days. So I have seen applications go up. Rates have gone down slightly, not enough to make that big of an impact. But they're slightly going to trickle down, once, there's an adjustment in the 10-year bond. So.
Yeah, hopefully. And obviously, we're going to find out a lot more now, I think February 1st, when the Feds finally make the decision on what they're going to be doing next. And I believe that next week, we have another big data coming out as well. So, all we can really do is, just watch the numbers. I believe stay outside the crazy headlines from the news and all that good stuff, and like you said, focus on what you guys are doing. What you guys do are focus on the fundamentals, right? And those you never go wrong when you're focusing on that. And I think you mentioned that to me the other day. So perfect. The next thing I want to get into real quick, Johnny, with you is from when you started a couple of years ago, there was social media wasn't around. A lot of the technology that obviously is helping streamline a lot of the stuff you used to have to manually do before has changed. Can you name what are some of the one or two things that you feel has really contributed to the success that you've had when it comes to something in the technology space? And where do you think it's going to go? Obviously, with things kind of, like meta world and there being virtual real estate. What's your take on all that stuff?
Well, I'm a strong believer that you still have to have a person show a home, the realtors. A lot of companies they try to do the remote real estate, virtual. You need that realtor calling. You need that realtor meeting the customer at the property or picking them up. That warmth, tell me what is you're looking for and let me see what I could find you. I don't think you can sell a home without that. I know artificial intelligence is going to play a big role, especially in the mortgage industry in the next coming years, because that's the route that we're headed. But there's so many softwares and applications that we use online before. Before we were paperless, our files were about this thick, and we had to store it for 3 years. So we had thousands and thousands of boxes stored and before you could shred them. So
file cabinets just taking up space. Oh, wow.
We were faxing instead of emailing. Yeah. But ironically, it's safer now to fax than it is to email because you can get hacked, as you know. So
yeah, spammers.
He's still good, right? The fax. So there's a lot of tools that we use that have helped us excel. The application that we have that we could just text to a buyer and they can fill everything out online and take pictures of the document and it goes right into our loan originating system. So technology has helped us grow, and you have to have that in order to attract the right loan officers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have it all. Whatever, we're not shy when it comes to spending money on new things and innovations. We spend the money on it because you have to spend money to make money, right?
Amen. Yeah, got to pay to play, especially the way advertising works. There's just no way around it. So, guys, I hope you have sucked up a lot of the gold nuggets and knowledge that Johnny's been dropping. But we are getting near the end of our interview. So, as usual, we're gonna go ahead and end here with Lipton 10 questions, where we ask Johnny 10 questions he's got to answer off the cuff. So any questions before we move forward?
I want to say one thing before we turn it off.
Oh, no, yeah, we're far from
I think what you're doing is amazing. I think, you being able to and help realtors out, whether it's with their email drips or the marketing campaign, all that's very important. What you do is it's good and it's very important. I think that every realtor out there should take advantage of what you can present to them, because not everybody could do what you do, right? I don't have the patience for it. But I also think that on top of being able to use your services, they need to pick up the phone and follow up with a phone call, because an email drip or you on social media making a video about a listing that you have coming up is not enough. You have to, that warm voice, you need to make the phone calls. And, yeah.
Can't stress it anymore. I'm with you. It's one of the things I pound to all of my clients. And, a lot of times, and I've said this before, but it's because it's a reoccurring thing. It's a lot of people that come to me, they want more business. They say, I've got a budget here that I want to put towards paid advertising. And my first question is, well, what are you doing organically? Are you door knocking? Are you making phone calls? Are you sending out that weekly newsletter to your database? If you're not doing any of that, then paying for leads is really just a waste of money and time, because what ends up happening is almost like your body. The heart can't function without the brain. The brain can't function without, So, if I'm paying for advertising and you don't have a nurturing email drip campaign set up that's going to follow up with those leads, who may not be ready till 3-6 months or even up to a year down the line, you're just wasting money. A lot of times, you're missing out on the opportunity of building relationships through these different channels, like you're saying, that whether it's promoting your open houses through text messaging, because you have that information, maybe local events that you're setting up, like coffee, you're giving free food, whatever it is, which I know your team does a lot of that. But I have events for your customers and new people to just come and learn about, how to get a loan or whatever the case may be. Those are the proactive activities that are really going to fuel your business when you do the advertising part, where you're spending money and your efforts that you're putting into, whether it's creating content, but if you're not following up through email, door knocking with your community, your sphere, you're not going anywhere. And like you're saying, you're going to lose to that guy that's coming in hungry.
Absolutely. And you have to have a good CRM system in place. And because a person, like you said, if a person doesn't qualify within the next 30 days, that doesn't mean that he's not going to qualify within 6 months. And a lot of times you have to take control of that client and you have to say, okay, let's see what's wrong. Is it your credit score's low? Okay, let's pay off some credit cards. Whatever the case may be, have somebody that'll help him clean his credit, or he needs a co-signer, or you can do a daddy condo where you can have a non-occupant buyer. There's so many things that could be done to help that client. Just a matter of, you spend money on leads, you get that lead, work that lead. And because it may not be a buyer today, but it could be a buyer in 3 months, 6 months, 5-6 months, or like you said, a year.
Yeah, not only that, but they're also, I always say, hey, in the world that you're living in, these leads that you're getting, whether they're coming from wherever they're coming from, there's a high likelihood that someone else has got the same lead information and is doing exactly what you should be doing. Speed to lead is a big thing, right? It's almost like when I'm looking for a barbershop, I'm not waiting for someone to call me back. I'm going to go with the barbershop that answers and gives me the appointment right away. So I like to say to all my clients that you need to just think of it like that. If it was you, would you wait? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Right. If not, there's plenty of people out there that are doing proactive stuff to make, to reach that lead. So, yeah. But anyhow, I'd love your take on that, Johnny. I really think that, like you said, as much as you're doing the advertising, you got to focus on doing a lot of just like the what's been known to work time over time. And with that, before we hang up, we're gonna just get straight into the Lipton 10 questions. So here we go. This is gonna be fun. Question number 1. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
And we can curse here, whatever it is.
No, I'm gonna curse. Spanish word, but I don't want to say it. My favorite
Tato,
word.
¿qué lo que?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Hey, every day I'm alive, and I can say that that's a blessing, right? So yeah,
Wait,
that's a good answer.
I say good morning to strangers, people walking on the block. It doesn't matter. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. It just makes me.
Exactly.
But
It's about you.
right?
All right. Question number 2. What is your least favorite word?
I can't.
Yeah, let's not add that to the vocabulary, guys. Everyone watching this. Number 3. What turns you on? We've heard it all too, by the way. Don't worry.
What turns you on besides food?
Yeah, all right, food. No, that's good. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. For Dominicans, that's very common.
Yeah,
What turns you off?
negative people.
Yeah, Debbie Downers. I agree. Question number 5. What sound or noise do you love?
Music. I love music.
Yeah. Any kind of music in particular?
I listen to everything. I listen to opera. I listen to Spanish music, light rock, hip hop.
Nice. Combination of everything. Number 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
Ah. I I don't like to hear dogs bark or kids cry, especially kids. I don't like to hear kids cry. Not that I hate it, I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I can see why. Question number 7. What is your favorite curse word? We still came back to the question.
Oh, you're gonna make me curse, huh? I guess.
We can spell it out too. No worries.
I guess shit. I say shit a
Shit.
lot.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can use that with everything.
Ah, shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 8. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? If you could be anything.
You know, it's funny you should ask me that because I've only told my wife this, and I've always wanted to be a professional singer.
No way.
I wanted to be a salsa singer when I was a kid, always. The only problem is I can't sing.
You know what? My father, who was in the music industry, played the saxophone. That's what I yeah, that's what I wanted to be. He's like, son, you know, if you had anything, I would have. Trust me, you don't. Don't try. Don't try. Anyone that you would have wanted to, any artist you would have want to resemble?
You know, one of my favorite artists is Tito Nieves. That's one of my favorite artists.
Icon. He's an icon. That's awesome. All right. Question number 9. What profession would you not like to attempt?
I don't like the medical industry. I would never. I don't do well with. I don't even like. I do. I go do my checkups because I have to. But anything has to do with medical or medical terms, I'm horrible.
Yeah. All right. So you get blue looking at blood and organs and
Close my eyes when they draw my blood. I'm a numbers guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Not a bad thing. All right. And final and last question, number 10. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome.
Oh, welcome. Right? It's not hell. All right, we're good. we good. Awesome, guys. Well, I hope you got tons of knowledge today from obviously a loan officer perspective. We've interviewed tons of realtor. Johnny's our only second loan officer we've interviewed here, and obviously he's speaking from a president CEO level. But obviously, you know, a lot of the same fundamentals that he talked about here today are a lot of the same things that are going to work at wherever level you may be. So, Johnny, thank you for joining us today. For those of us and those watching now or on the recap who aren't following you, where could they follow you if they wanted to, you know, stay in tune with what you're doing?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So, you know, anybody can follow me on LinkedIn.
Look up Johnny Margarini and they'll find you on LinkedIn.
Correct.
All right, awesome, guys. You've heard it. Find him on LinkedIn. And of course, if you're a realtor and you want to work with him or another loan officer, feel free to just drop him a message on LinkedIn or you know, find a way to get his contact, email him and get in contact with him. I'll tell you now that you won't regret it, especially if you're looking to grow and expand and learn from all of his last 25-year knowledge. So, Johnny, thank you for joining us today. We'll leave you here with that. Thank you, boss. And yeah, we look forward to having you again in the near future.
Thank you for your time.
No problem. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Tons of takeaways from today's live stream with Johnny Margarini, President and CEO of Point Mortgage. So, of course, for those of you that enjoyed the live, make sure to hit the like, leave a comment, and make sure to subscribe for future live streams just like this. But if you didn't get a chance to catch the whole episode, well, you're going to have to wait till it releases, which it might be in a month or two where you can see the whole thing. But we'll have recaps on our social media page. So make sure to follow us us on Instagram and Facebook at Social Buzzin'. All right. So thank you guys. Until the next one, see you.